If you have no clue what you want to do with your life, sometimes it's easier to just say what you don't want. And humans in general, it's just easier to point out the things that are bad, that you don't like, that are flaws. And so that was really the practice that I did when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And now everything is better than anything I could have ever possibly dreamed of, from the business that have been cultivated, the friends, the relationships, the people that are in my life, the mentors that I've been fortunate enough to have, the family that I have, every single thing. But a lot of that was just reverse engineering what I didn't want. I knew that I didn't want to go to college. I wanted to learn from someone that had a business that had real experience. And so I said, well, if my teacher is someone that goes to a school to teach how to teach, they don't have any skin in the game, they don't have any real world experience. I would prefer to do something that someone has already done before. I want to learn from, and I want to apprentice myself under someone, kind of like how they did in the Roman days. You would find someone that was in a position that you want to be in, and you would follow a similar trait by working under them for free or for very little wage until you learned how to do it on your own. And so that's what I did after a very long period of time of desperately struggling, trying to message people, look to find a mentor. I took extreme action, which I don't think is necessary, but it got me the job. But when I tattooed this guy's logo on my leg and flew across the country to beg him to work for him. But I don't think you have to go that extreme. But a lot of that was just saying, okay, I know that I want to have freedom of location. I want to travel the world. Right now I'm in Peru. I'm leaving tomorrow, actually. But I knew that I had never been on a plane. I was 17 years old. I'd never traveled. I would see things online, and I wanted to experience the world. It wasn't enough for me to hear what someone else had to say about the world. I wanted to actually go and experience it for myself and curate my own thoughts as to what I thought was right, what I thought was wrong, what I thought about the world, what I thought about different places. And I knew that it was not enough to hear what other people had to say. I wanted to go and experience it. So I had to make money online. I had to have some degree of financial security. And I was then saying, okay, well, what businesses allow for that? So I was going through the things that didn't allow. It would not have been some sort of trades job where I was hands-on. It would have had to have been something where I could work from my laptop and that I could have flexibility to go to a country and live there for a month, go to the next country, live there for a month. And so it was just going through the process of what do I want, what don't I want. And then when I really stumbled upon what I wanted, it wasn't even what I wanted. I was stumbling on macroeconomic podcasts, and for some reason they were explaining the world, and it was resonating with me. I didn't know what they were saying, but it made some degree of sense. So I started saying, and I made this very direct, clear distinction. And this was the turning point of my life. I said, I don't know what I want to do for the rest of my life. In fact, I don't think it's going to be this, but I know with 100% certainty that if I can figure this out, then I'll have a better idea of what I want to do for the rest of my life. So I went down this incredibly long road just by agreeing and telling myself that I was going to figure out what these guys like Jeff Snyder, George Gammon, these incredibly intelligent macroeconomics guys, to figure out what was going on with the world from an economy perspective, how to position yourself accordingly, which I thought that I was going to go down the hedge fund route. That's not what happened. I have a media marketing business now. But that was the route that I took. And then I started going down and eventually started working for someone, and understanding that macroeconomics allowed me to work with people that had incredibly world-class talent and information, but they didn't know how to distribute it, and they didn't know how to monetize it. They didn't know how they could turn that into a business, which then turned into the very successful business that was really the foundation of where we are today. Working with guys in the macroeconomic space, helping them get more views, and then helping them monetize those views, which is now the business that we're developing and really, really expanding wildly, rapidly. And it's super exciting of pretty much just get views online for large businesses, convert those views into customers. That's it. Super simple. Shoot. I have a call. I think I'm late for a call. Fuck. This is something that has been driving me crazy, though. The amount of just random calls that I end up being sucked upon for work. And so it actually has been a very stressful week. But again, now that I'm in the position that I want to be in, I'm going down, and your taste change, what you want changes, your goals and objectives change. So now it's looking at another 3 to 5 years and saying, what don't I want? What do I want? I know that, like, now that I have a business that's growing, I see that we are only, like, if this is the floor, we are like right here from the potential that is could literally go up to the entirety of the sky. And so I want to scale the fuck out of the business. I want to take it to where we're doing, I mean, tens of millions of dollars a month in the next 16 months, which I think is hyper realistic if we just keep on growing at this rate. And so it's just getting better. But then it's what is needed for that. But none of that has to do with what do you want with your life. And the route that you can take can change. I mean, it's like what's the worst thing that could happen? I was going through this thought experiment as well. I was like, okay, worst case, I live in the richest country in the entire world, the United States. You already have a huge leg up. I have a family that I can live at home. And so the absolute worst case scenario, if I completely fail, 4 years from now, when all my classmates are just getting out of college, I will have 4 years of experience of trying things, failing, and fucking up. And then I'll just have to go live at home and find a job like most college kids do anyway. And that was the absolute worst case scenario. And even if you don't have a family, let's say, which is a very rare sighting, the worst case, you go homeless. And then you figure it out from there. For me, that was just a no-brainer. Like, it's not like you're just going to die. You could get a job working at McDonald's. You could get a job doing something. And so if the absolute worst case scenario is you fail, you have to live at home and get a normal job, okay, great. What is the cost of inaction? Well, it is never achieving what you want in life. It's always wishing and trying to think through your unfulfilled potential and not doing the things that you wanted. For me, that was a trade-off that not only was I not willing to take, that's what kept me up at night. Not fulfilling the potential that I saw in myself and saying, if I really worked hard towards something, I can do anything I want. If I genuinely gave it 100% effort, there's no way I could fail. And if you don't see it as failure, then it doesn't even matter. Most of it is just going to be learning mistakes that make you substantially better off either way. And so there's virtually zero downside, but the upside is you can do whatever the fuck you want. And sometimes it's 5 years of extreme sacrifice for 50 years of freedom. And as opposed to most people do the opposite. They do 50 years of a controlled life for 10 years of freedom when you're already old. I don't want to be old and have some money in the bank. I want to do what I want to now. And that's what's so great about having complete financial freedom when you're young, which I don't consider I have, but there's nothing that I want to do that I don't. I would consider complete freedom when I have passive income that can cover the entirety of my lifestyle, which we do not yet have. That will be through acquiring real estate, hopefully closing on a billboard at some point before this year ends for the 100% bonus depreciation. That's all completely mumbo jumbo. It doesn't really matter, nor does it relate to the video, I guess.